You know, for the coach of a baseball team, Irie actually hosts a pretty good barbecue. Now I just gotta talk to him about the creepy stuff with Satoko, but anyway, hi everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another one of our weekly Higurashi When They Cry Go discussion video. Today we're talking all about episode 9, but before we get into that, quick reminder if you haven't done so yet, to hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, set notifications to all, let all of AniTube know that you're here. And with that said, we're gonna go ahead and get into this week's episode, and yeah, this episode is all about Satoko, who I feel a little bit bad. I never really acknowledged much. Of the characters, she's the one that I sort of felt the most indifferent towards. Maybe indifferent isn't quite the right phrase that I'm looking for, but she was always the character that I didn't really care as much about. My favorite characters still like Mion and Shion. Admittedly, the last arc was probably my favorite. And then that'd be followed by like Keiichi, Reina, Rika. Like Satoko's very low on my list of favorites, and now I feel really bad about that because, as it turns out, Satoko's actually really cool. Like, she's a lot more endearing than I gave her credit for. There's a lot more going on beneath the surface of the whole, like, whoa ho, 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 personality she has going on. She actually kind of reminds me of Karen from Street Fighter. Or Karen, I don't know how that's pronounced, but anyway, it reminds me of the whole like whoa ho 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 ho, which admittedly isn't just Karen from Street Fighter. There's like a lot of characters who, you know, do that laugh, who act like that. It's just that's who it reminded me of. Although I guess, when did she debut? When did she start being in Street Fighter? Because maybe Satoko came out first. I don't super know. But that's who it reminded me of. That's who she's always reminded me of, just like tiny Karen from Street Fighter, which did make me think at some point Satoko was going to whoop some ass, which admittedly would be pretty dope, and knowing the character, it wouldn't really surprise me if she just started busting out some kung fu. That said, I will say she actually does have a tremendous amount of skill that, again, neither I nor Keiichi apparently gave her credit for. As an example, she's actually a super good cook. That was a huge surprise. I don't know why it surprised me, but it did. And there's just look at the cooking thing as an example, right? The whole cooking aspect of Satoko's character tells me that there's a lot to her that we don't know. Because, like, I had no idea she was a good cook, like, at all. Not that she's amazing. She's not like, you know, she's not going to be entering the Shokugeki no Soma anytime soon. She's not about to walk into the hallowed halls of Shokugeki no Soma. But she is half decent. As Keiichi points out, like, even if that some of it was like out of the box or whatever, it was still a lot of it that was prepared herself, and it actually did end up looking pretty good. I am admittedly a sucker for really appetizing anime food, so if anime food looks good, I'm there for it. And with Satoko's meal, it legitimately looked good, and it's just yet another thing about the character that I feel like I kind of owe the character an apology, even though she's not real. But I guess now I'm an anime boy, and I am here in Hinamizawa, so if I don't apologize, something bad could probably happen to me. However, it's not like everything's all like sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows here. There's still some stuff that is, you know, gonna have Keiichi's guard up, shall we say. In fact, I'm already looking around like, hey, Reina, no. You stay over there. I don't trust you. Yeah, he's definitely got his work cut out for him yet again. I will say the last arc with Mion, which, oh my god, the feels. Can we talk about the feels? I'm still not okay with what happened. Like, in a good way. I'm still emotionally, like, totally destroyed. But, I am, like, kind of concerned that this one is either gonna go one of two ways. It's either gonna be very spooky, or it's gonna make me cry again. It's gonna be one or the other. I'm positive about it. And I say that because this one sort of piled on this whole aspect of, like, protecting Satoko. Satoko seemed like the character who's, like, all the other characters felt very focused on saving. And I don't recall if I said this last week or not, but I don't know how many of you, and this is going to be one of those times where I, like, reference something that's not anime related, and I'm sorry about that, but you know, I'd be doing that sometimes. Do you guys remember the show Heroes? Do you remember all the marketing around it where it was like, save the cheerleaders, save the world, all that stuff? Does anybody else get the feeling like the same sort of things going on here, like with Satoko, where it's like, save Satoko, save the world? or maybe like save Rika, save the world. I don't super know, but it seems like we've talked about this before, where Satoko always seems to die. She's died twice in like the previous time. In the previous, I guess it's not timelines; it's more like world lines. We're getting very Steins Gate up in here. But that said, like this is now the like second time that Satoko has died when she shouldn't have even been near an area where she could have gotten got. And yet she dies, and it's really weird. And so here we see all these people talking about how much they love her and like want her to smile and all this stuff, and how much they feel bad because all the stuff that happened to her parents and all that stuff. It's a long story. We'll get into it in just a sec. But it does have me thinking, like, maybe Satoko is the linchpin? I always thought it was either going to be, like, Rika or Keiichi, but maybe it's Satoko. Like, maybe Satoko is the linchpin. And again, if you're, like, entering these, if you're entering this Higurashi series on the channel and you're wondering, like, hey, has he seen the previous things? Like, why is he talking about it like that? Like, hasn't he seen the original series? No, I have not. I am experiencing this for the first time, and I am perfectly understanding most things. I feel like I'm in about as, like, I'm in the dark with a lot of other people who are just jumping on GOU, and from what I gather, a lot of people who have seen the OG series and have read the visual novel are also in the dark, so hey, we all get to be in the dark together. That said, I am totally cool with you guys talking about, like, what happened in the previous show, like, in, like, you know what I, but only, like, up to where we are, you know what I mean? Like, if you want to tell me, like, oh, that's weird, like, in the original, I believe some people told me in the previous video, like, some stuff that happened, like at the end of the arc that we were in with Mion and Shion, people did tell me, like, oh, that's funny, like, they cut this out, they cut that out. I don't really mind that, just put it under a read more. I actually do read those. Maybe I shouldn't, because they might come up again later, but I don't really consider those spoilers, but some people do, so still put it under a read more. But I would be curious if there's stuff that is changing already, because last time, stuff changed right away, so yeah, it's been, I don't know if necessarily anything big changed, but I should state that what happens with Satoko this week, whether it's different or not, is really, really sad. Like, everything to do with her parents, like, being pro-Dam, which is a shock, by the way. I kind of was like Keiichi, where I just assumed that all of our characters would have been, like, pro Hinamizawa. It is admittedly very pretty. Like, look at it over there. God damn. But I was sort of assuming that all our characters were going to be pro Hinamizawa, and that the fact that Satoko's parents were pro Dam, I was like, that makes sense, given that we haven't seen them and we know that they aren't around, so it makes sense. In fact, a part of me is wondering if maybe I was told that and just totally forgot, which is admittedly a thing that has happened here on the channel a few times. I'm kind of stupid, but that plus Satoshi going missing is like, god damn, poor Satoko. Like, just the fact that her parents died due to the, like, Oyashiro-sama curse, ooh, spooky. But that plus Satoshi getting demoned away, it's very disconcerting because it makes me very nervous that something's going to happen to Satoko. In fact, something has happened to Satoko at every turn. Like, this character keeps getting into shenanigans that she doesn't deserve, and then she dies at the end, which is not pleasant. For anybody involved. Nobody wants death. That's shocking. But the other thing that I should probably talk about is the uncle. The uncle is a huge asshole. This uncle sucks. Like, we see him at the very beginning of the episode, and I was kind of confused. Like, I wasn't sure who this guy was supposed to be, only to find out that, yeah, he actually is Satoko's uncle, which is like, yikes. But then at the end, it seems like he's taken Satoko away, which is, again, like, very concerning. Because, like, it seemed like Satoko was happy living with Rika, but if this dude comes in and tries to make her live with him for whatever reason, like, maybe there's a monetary value in that, I don't know. He seems like kind of a douche, like, so I can see him only taking care of her because he gets a paycheck out of it or something. I'm very, like, concerned about it, and I kind of just... Now I feel bad, again, like, I feel bad, because Satoko was the character I cared the least about, and now I just want good things for the character, and I don't know. It's just, I feel really bad. I will say, we do get introduced to a new character this week as well. I mentioned him at the beginning. The man does throw a decent barbecue, especially for a baseball coach. I didn't know that he could, like, pull in that kind of dough. But Irie, or as everybody calls him, just Coach. I thought he was cool. The Satoko stuff is uncomfortable. Like, the instant he said, like, yeah, I hope to marry her one day, I was like, ooh!
Yikes! That's gonna be a fucking yikes from me. Holy shit.
Yeah, I didn't like that. I didn't like that at all. I was like, oh, okay, now Irie makes me uncomfortable. And when he's just like, yeah, I wanted to adopt her too, I was like, yikes. didn't like that. Didn't like that. On the bright side, we do see my girl, my best girl, Shion, show up. I do feel like Shion got kind of like gypped at the end of the last arc. She just sort of dies and like we don't really see her again. And I find her and Mion to be the most interesting. Again, they're my favorites, so I was kind of like, oh, Mion, yay! You got messed up last time I saw you. But yeah, I just kind of want to keep Irie, like, away. I'm not an Irie fan. That kind of makes me very uncomfortable. I hope he kind of knocks it off. Because up until then, like, everything else, it made him seem like a cool dude. So I was like, oh, he seems like a nice guy. And then there's that, and you're like, whoa, okay. There's always a catch. There is one other thing, though, that I want to talk about. One other thing that I feel like with Higurashi is worth mentioning, and that is the fear factor, not the TV show. I guess we'll call it the scare factor. Yes, the scare factor. So yeah, as we've come to expect with the first episode now, like this is our third time, you know, like you're kind of getting into a rhythm with the show where you know that at the start of the next arc, odds are it's probably not going to be that scary. And that rings true. This episode is not very scary. It's actually like pretty chill for the most part. There is 2 moments that I thought something scary was about to happen and then it doesn't. And that is when Satoko is cooking for Keiichi, and she's like, "You haven't washed your hands? Go wash your hands. What's the matter with you?" And so he goes and he washes his hands, and he like hits that tripwire made of rope, by the way. And I thought something like scary was about to happen. Like I thought something was gonna like try to swing down at him, like somebody was like out to get Keiichi or something. But no, it was just Satoko, being a little shit, and setting up a bunch of pots and pans that were gonna fall on Keiichi when he like stepped over the rope. So that was more funny than anything else. But the other thing is still kind of spooky. It's not super scary, but is scary enough. And that's the Reina thing. Ooh, Reina. Reina always be so spooky. She can't help it. She just lives. Reina's not spooky. She's just drawn that way. But yeah, Reina be hella spooky. When Keiichi brings up Oyashiro-sama's curse, right? Because he brings it up again. Because this fool's always got to bring it up. But he brings it up, and both Mion and Reina are like, oh. Yeah, he moved away. He transferred schools. Sad stuff. So sad. Anyway, what do you want to do? We want to hang out later? It's like, bruh, he knows you're lying, guys. Like, just like, god damn it. Like, he knows. And so he rightfully calls them out, and then Reina does the spooky face, where her head hangs kind of low, and she has shadows over her eyes, and it's all spooky, scary skeletons, and you don't know what's about to happen. And then, Mion to the rescue. My girl jumps in, and says like, hey Keiichi, you know what? I forgot, I was gonna give you those manga that you loaned me back. Let's head back to my place and I'll give you those back. Keiichi's like, what the hell are you talking about? But then he sees, you know, Reina in the background just giving just menacing JoJo's vibes. And yeah, she gets him out of that situation, and that is, yeah, that was the scary moment of the episode. I do feel like we'll probably get some more. Although that said, the last episode, even the last episode, the whole last arc really wasn't that scary. And I'm not even disappointed by that because it was actually really emotional. So I don't know if we're going to be getting back to spooky, scary skeletons, or if we're going to be staying in dark, depressing days. I don't super know, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But with that said, everybody, that is going to wrap up today's video here. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to boop that up snoot, share if you care, leave a comment down below, and of course, as always, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring that bell, set notifications to all, and let all of AniTube know that you're here. And of course, as always, I have to give a big thank you to the good folks in the T Squadron. Look at these beautiful people. Look at all these beautiful names, and hey, if you would like to join these beautiful people, there are now 2 ways to do so. The first is by hitting that join button just beside the sub button to get a badge next to your name, some emotes to spam in the comments, and of course your name scrolling past the screen as well. Or you can hit that Patreon link. Either way, it is super, super appreciated. So once again, a big thank you to the good folks in the T Squadron, and that's it for me. If you don't mind, I'm getting back to the barbecue, and also this view is beautiful. Anyway, yeah, I'm gonna get back to it. So until next time, you stay classy, AnyTube. Wash your dang hands.